Hi, I'm Greg Wilkes, and if you're watching this video, it's probably because you're frustrated with some aspect of running your construction company, or it could be many things that you're frustrated with. And if that's the case, I completely understand where you're coming from. I've been involved in the construction industry for some 20 odd years, and I certainly know the challenges that come with it. It's a tough industry to be in. And not only that, not only have I been in construction for 20 years, I've also run my own business in construction for 20 odd years. So you could say I've got a lot of experience in the pains and the pressures of actually running a business from the ground up. It's certainly not an easy thing to do. But when you first started out on your entrepreneur journey, if you like, and you first started up your business, probably like me, you found it all quite exciting. I remember when I first won my first big contract, it was a loft conversion. And, I was over the moon when I won that job. Took my wife out and we were celebrating, cracked open a bottle of champagne, and, the future looked so bright and rosy. I was such a great feeling. I was on a high and everything looked positive. But, then after a while, day in, day out, you're running your business, the general daily grind. And the pressures and problems, they start to mount up a bit, don't they? And that initial joy and excitement that you had when you first started up, they can quickly fade away. They become a distant memory. And then you can start to question, is it worth it? Have you ever done that? Do you ever think to yourself, why am I doing this? All the stress that you're under and the risks that you have to take when you run a business. I mean, people don't realise that the amount of risk that you personally take on when you're running your own business. You think of the pressure of trying to make payroll each week, or when the dreaded VAT bill or a tax bill arrives and you haven't saved up quite enough to pay it. That causes great anxiety, doesn't it, if you haven't got the cash flow to cover bills like that. And then, you find you're working hard, you're working all the hours under the sun, and you start noticing it's affecting your family time, your time away from your wife and your kids. You don't get to put your kids to bed at night, and you start to think, is this worth it? Is it worth it, all this work I'm putting in? And then worse still, you're working that hard, really grafting, you could say, and you're not really making that much money. In fact, some of your subcontractors, you find out, are earning just as much as you are, or more than you are. And they're just subcontractors. You're taking on all the risk, you give them all the work, and they're earning just as much money without the risk. And you start to think to yourself, what's the point of it all? Clients are stressing you out. The clients seem to be ungrateful. It's as if they want to get one over on you, or want to try and get money off all the time. You just seem to be winning the wrong type of clients, the wrong type of work, and you can't seem to land the cream jobs, the best jobs. And then you've got talk of a recession. People are always talking about a recession in construction, aren't they? And that's usually because the construction industry is the first to be hit in a recession, and it's the last to recover when one arrives. That's the reality of the industry we're in. And it all just feels like an uphill struggle and a real pain. And all you want to do is just give it all up, jack it in, and do something else. But you can't give it up, because what else are you going to do? You've built this business, it's paying the bills, just about. So what else are you going to do? Your family, they're relying on you to pay the mortgage, pay the food bills. So what do? You stick with it, and you end up going round and round in this loop of having good days and a lot of bad days. Does that sound familiar to you? Have you felt like that at times? Is it resonating? Well, I'm sure it is, because I can certainly feel your pain. I've been there. I've really been there. I know the struggles of running a small construction business, and the reality is, let's be honest, it's really tough. It's hard work. And all the problems that you might have, the cash flow, the struggling to pay suppliers, getting the wrong type of clients, having subcontractors that work for you who don't care about anything else but just getting their Friday paycheck, all of that, I've had it all, just like you have. And wanting to get out of the industry, yeah, I've been there too as well. I've wanted to get out of this industry many times. But like you, I've stuck with it, not really having anything else to get into. I've done this since I left school. But then one day I decided I've had enough. Enough's enough. I've had enough of not succeeding. I've had enough of constantly struggling. And I knew the only way I could get myself to earn more money and have more time, more freedom, is if I grew my business. You know, I believed if I could grow my business to £1 million a year, if I could get it to that level, that would give me enough money to employ a small team, an efficient team around me that would give me more time freedom. And then I believed if I got to £1 million a year, I'd also, you know, certainly be earning a good wage if I could do that. And that's all I wanted, really. I just wanted to earn a good wage and have freedom of my time to spend more time with my family. But I didn't really know how to get there or what strategies to put in place. So I started reading. I consumed book after book on business. You know, read autobiographies on successful entrepreneurs who've had the same struggles. You know, I've probably read hundreds of these types of books, spent hours and hours on it, from Good to Great to The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. Maybe these are books you've read yourself. You know, you name it, I've read those books. I've read them all. And then I took lots of courses on best business practices, social media strategies, Facebook advertising, pay-per-click, all that sort of thing. Hundreds of hours I'd spent invested in development, personal development and business development in order to grow my business. And then everything that I'd learned, I then had to put it into practice. I had to try and test it and see what worked and what didn't, because it doesn't all work. You know, you have to find out what works for you. And yeah, overall, these hours were well spent. It really did help doing all of this, these courses and the books, but it was a slow process. But the first thing I did was, the big decision I made was split up with my business partner. I had to buy him out, and I knew that I really had to go on my own in order to be successful. And that was one of the hardest decisions actually I've ever had to make. I mean, maybe if you're in a business partnership, you might feel the same way as I did. You know, you feel like you've got a sense of loyalty to this person, you've got quite close ties to someone you've built a business with. And not only that, for me, he was also a very good friend too. So that was a really tough decision. And you know, after years though of, we just weren't really getting anywhere in the business. We were stagnating, wasn't earning enough money. And then my situation changed. My family was growing. I had a daughter that was on the way, and plain and simple, I just needed to earn more money and create a better life for all of us. And I just couldn't do that being shackled to a partnership. And I was really determined that if I was going to grow this business, I was going to do it on my own terms. So it was the hardest decision I've ever made, but it's also one of the best decisions I made, without a doubt, you know, splitting up from my business partner. So I did that, split from my business partner, and then I really focused on growing the business and applying the strategies that I'd learned over the years. Now, at the time, I remember our partnership, we were doing about £600,000 a year, which was okay. You know, we were busy, but it's not a lot really when you break it down. You think there's two of you, it's, you know, like one man doing £300,000 a year. Nothing special, but it was okay. But on the first year, I started out on my own and I was trying to develop the business. I managed to do £700,000 on my own that year. That was great. And then the next year, I increased revenue by 70% and I hit 1.2 million in sales. 1.2 million, you know, after that was 1 year on my own. And that was massive, a massive win for me. And, you know, I was really earning really good money, but, you know, if I'm honest, I was working like a dog. You know, I was up early and working so hard, and it wasn't sustainable. You know, I'd just get burnt out if I carried on like that. So I knew I had to get a good team around me. That was the only way I could carry on. And the good thing was I had funds available because I was turning over so much money. I could bring people on board. So the first port of call was I brought on a business sales director. And that really was a great move. So I brought him on board. He could focus on growing the business and the sales, and then I could just concentrate on looking after the business. And that proved to be a great move. Within 2 years, we got our turnover to 3.5 million in 2 years. So we were really growing at a rapid pace. So you could say that I certainly mastered marketing and sales. That was for sure. And our brand message and things like that. But, you know, we had work coming in from all angles. It was absolutely incredible. So although I've mastered marketing and sales, I hadn't really mastered the art of winning the right type of clients. And I also hadn't mastered the art of the operations side of things. And because we were growing so fast, I found it become obvious very quickly that I didn't really have the systems in place to keep control of it all. And as I said, the clients we were winning were not quite right. And if I'm honest, there were some that were just looking for any reason not to pay us. And it started some legal disputes. And as we grew, the bigger we got, the more problems we started to experience. And the more clients became dissatisfied because I was losing control. And then I started making less money on my projects because I wasn't fully in control. I was making less profit. And the company went from one that was growing rapidly to one that was building up debt rapidly, and I was getting a bad reputation, and really I was on a downward spiral very, very fast. And the final icing on the cake for the business really was that we had quite a dishonest client really, who ended up defaulting on me for a lot of money at the time. And because we were getting behind on payments and pressure from suppliers, we sought some legal advice, and we were told that we had to stop trading. We were effectively bankrupt. Now, the client defaulting on that payment was, the final nail in the coffin for us, really. But I can't blame the client. I'd let it slip well before that. I'd lost control leading up to it, and it was awful, absolutely awful time. You can imagine when you've built up a business over many years and then you lose it overnight. I've never ever felt so much pressure in my life. And whatever anyone thinks about going bankrupt, thinking it's an easy way out, well, I tell you, it's not. It's a horrible process, and one that I'm never going to face again. I'll be determined never to face that again. And overnight, I'd lost all my ongoing contracts, lost a lot. I've upset many of my subcontractors. I had to let office staff go. And then personally, I was in a lot of personal debt because I tried to keep things running for a bit on my own and put my own money into it. So I'd lost money myself. It really was, I can't emphasise it enough, a truly awful time. If you've ever experienced that, you'll know what I mean. So, I come to a crossroads really. I had to decide, what did I want to do? This was my chance now. Should I get out of construction? Should I do something else? But I knew that I was really onto something quite good with the business. I knew I was onto a good thing because I had mastered the sales and marketing, that's for sure. I knew, I had the confidence I could grow a company rapidly. But what I needed to learn now and apply was how to control that growth so it was sustainable. So I got my head down and I really worked out a strategy that I was going to apply to my next business. And the next one I did, I knew I was going to do it right. And I called this strategy Develop. And really it's a 7-step process. And once all these steps are in place, I can honestly say it's like having a company that's being run like a well-oiled machine. It really is incredible. So, I thought long and hard about this and got this down on paper and all the experience I'd learned over the years. And started up again from zero. And in the first year, I did over 1.5 million in sales. And this time, I'd done it right. The right marketing strategy was in place. And most importantly, I had the right operating systems in place to be able to sustain business growth like that in 1 year. And one of the biggest things is that I now fully understood my numbers and my data. I knew to the penny where my budgets were being allocated. I understood my profit and loss report to the penny. I was at all the line items. I knew what was going on, and that enabled me to grow in a controlled way. And I also knew my marketing well. I developed reports that would tell me, what marketing was working, what was my biggest lead source, what was my biggest return on investment on adverts. I could tell what jobs were most profitable. At a click of a button, I'll tell you to the penny how much I made profit on each and every job we carried out, so that we could focus on, the right sort of work. And I also knew then how to attract the right type of clients. And this was really key for me because in my first business, we really were taking on any job really just to bump up our turnover. Work was coming in so fast, we were taking on work left, right and centre. But this time I thought, no, I'm going to be more selective about the clients I take on. And it really started with our brand message. We had to understand who was our target market, what was our USP. And I knew intimately my clients' fears and their frustrations. And I was able to demonstrate to them why we were the best company to solve their fears and their frustrations and their problems. And having the right clients is absolutely key. It really does mean less stress if you're working with people that want to work with you. So I must say that the second £1 million company that I created was much easier to start and run than the first one. And even though I started it from scratch and we've done it in a year, it was much easier to do. And once I had it running well and I had a great team around me, I then decided that really I now wanted to do something different, something I was a bit more passionate about, and that was helping others in construction. That's my real passion. That's what I wanted to do. I really want to help construction company owners, just get away from all those frustrations we mentioned at the beginning and be able to scale their business successfully and profitably. And this will enable them to have more time, more money and more freedom. That's really my passion in life. I want to be able to inspire people to do that. And the reason I want to do that is because I know how to do it. I know that using my developed strategy that I've tried and tested, I know it works. And I want to share that with people. So is that of interest to you? Could you see how growing your business from where it is now to £1 million a year or even just doubling your business from where your business is now, if you doubled your business, can you envisage what that would do for you? Can you imagine how much happier you'd be if you could take just a day or two away from the office every now and then and let your team run things? How would that make things easier for you? If you got to spend more time with your family or your kids, or you're just able to have a few afternoons off now and again for a round of golf or two, how would that make a difference in your life? I mean, just to let you know, recently I took an entire month off and I travelled all of Australia, knowing that my business was in safe hands. And you're able to do that when you put these systems in place. You really are able to do that. And how would you feel if you could go and travel Australia for a month and knowing your business was running and earning you money? How would you feel? Or how would you feel if you were earning double what you're currently earning? Would that make a big difference in your life? Imagine not just earning better money, but imagine not having to worry about cash flow, having enough money in the bank, having a buffer in the bank to easily pay your suppliers and your tax bills when they fall due. How would that make you feel? Well, all of that is possible if you grow your business in the right way. And I can help you get there with my Develop coaching program. And with this Develop strategy, we'll work on a program together where we work through the principles one by one. And the most important thing is we analyse your current company situation in detail. So we analyse where you're at now, and we talk about it honestly. And although this Develop principle really can be applied to any company, to be honest, I specifically customise it for you and your business. That's the key. It's got to work for you. So some of the things we do, just to run through some of the strategies we look at, the first thing we do is we build a roadmap for you. So we look at what are the next 12 months going to look like? What are your goals? Where do you want to be in 12 months' time? And then we have measurable milestones on how you can get there realistically. And this accountability is absolutely crucial because it keeps you on track throughout. And we can look at every month and we think, are we on target? What do we need to do? Do we need to ramp up our efforts? And the great thing is when you look back after the 12 months, what you've achieved, it's a great feeling to see how far you've come. The second thing we do is we look at your USP and how we can target your message to the right type of client. And as we said, when you get the right type of client, that will take a lot of headaches away. The third thing we do is look at your branding and your message. And we try and switch between not just selling a service, but solving people's problems, because people buy solutions. So we look at your marketing to make sure you're getting that message across correctly. And we look at all your social media strategy so that you're out there, you're visible in front of people. And most importantly, you're absolutely inundated with leads. That's the aim. And then we look at how you can automate your marketing so it's working for you in the background. And automated marketing is absolutely fantastic. It's like employing a salesperson that works 24/7 for you while you sleep. So your automated marketing to be out there trying to persuade clients to sign up for you while you're laying in bed is absolutely incredible. And then fourth thing we look at is as you start to grow, we then need to put those processes in place so you can put your finger on the pulse. It's so important that you keep control of the business as you grow rapidly. So we analyse any areas that need to be checked and look for improvement. We have a real report and feedback loop system that comes in. The fifth thing we do is we look at how we can build a loyal team around you. So it's really important, as we said, if you want more freedom, more time, you need a top team around you that can take your workload and free you from the day-to-day firefighting. So it's really important that I show you how to get that in place and what things to look out for. The sixth thing is we look at your software systems. What systems do you need in place to keep you in control and get your business running like a well-oiled machine? And you really want to be able to be anywhere in the world and effectively control what's going on with your mobile phone. That's what I did when I was in Australia. I literally just had a phone with me or my iPad, and I was able to control what was going on in my company and see that everything was up running well. So that's fantastic, and we can help you get there too. And the seventh thing we look at is your profit and loss, and making sure you understand your figures fully. And that's absolutely crucial. As you're expanding, you want to expand profitably. And I'll show you how you can pull the right levers and make changes. If you want to make some profit here, we might need to maneuver a figure over there. And I'll show you how understanding that is so powerful. And that might sound boring looking at profit and loss reports, but it's really important that you fully understand your figures and get your head around it. Now that's just scratching the surface of the program. I've mentioned 7 things, but there's so much more involved in it. But the important thing to remember that it's designed around you and your business. We find a custom solution that works for you. That's the important thing. So really, once you've got all this in place, it's up to you how far you want to take it. 6 figures a year, yeah, of course, no problem. 7 figures, as we said, very doable. I've done it twice with my businesses. Maybe it's 10 figures or more you want to achieve with your business. Well, that can be done too. And the good thing is by doing this course, you're setting up yourself with a fantastic foundation that will enable you to have your next phase of growth. Or of course you can keep it at 6 figures and just enjoy loads of time off and go and play a lot of golf, But whatever your goal is, if you want to expand your construction business, then I'll just say to you now, you need to take action. You need to be talking to me about how I can help you do that. Don't be one of those people that talks about making changes, or you talk about how you struggle with this and that, and then you never do anything about it. You never take action. Otherwise, you're just going to end up on that merry-go-round of pain and frustration. Going round and round with it. And don't think you can do it on your own either, because you'd have, if you could do it on your own, you'd have probably done it by now. Often we need help, we need guidance with people who have been there and done it before, and I can be the person that can help you with that. And not only that, I'll show you how to get there a lot quicker than you would on your own. Now, just one word of warning before we wrap up this video. This course, just be prepared that it involves a lot of action on your part. You need to be prepared for that. I won't be doing it all for you, although I help you massively along the way, but you're the one putting in the hard work. You need to implement the strategies, and you need to get the foundations in place, and that takes time. And I'm only really interested in working with people who've got that hard work ethic and who really want to create a 7-figure business and make that transformation. So if you think that could be you, then feel free to fill out the form below for a free strategy session. I'd love to talk to you, and I'll talk to you and show you how I can help you transform your business. Look forward to speaking to you soon.